remember watching my dad get on an airplane and leave, and I didn't see him until maybe 3 years before my mom died.
Wow.
And I was a kid, and I said, you just can't stay? And he said, son, I can't. I'm crying, and I just look up to him. He said, hey, you gotta be strong.
Thanks for tuning in to another episode of Zone In. My name's Dave Szymanski, along with
Sir Benjamin Bennett.
And we're a podcast that talks about sort of everyday things, but are not often explored in the depth that we explore them, Sir Benjamin.
Not at all. See, we're a little different, cut above the rest. And so we're going to give it to you how we like to give it to you. Nothing designer, nothing scripted, all from the heart, straight to you.
Nothing rehearsed, nothing. This is just free form.
Yep.
But the interesting dynamics about the two of us is because we talk about the generational gap, which I think is a positive for people, because you want to see a dimension of ideas and thoughts that come from different eras.
Well, definitely.
And experiences.
Not only do you want to see it, it's necessary. If the younger generation would find somebody from a generation that knew better and try to learn from those, I believe it'd be a lot better world.
I think so too, and I don't think enough people do that. No. I don't think they learn from the past. They either admire it, or they ridicule it, or they ignore it.
Rebellious. It's a rebellious thing. I know, you can't tell me. You know, that's kind of how.
Well, that's the case some of the time. Yeah. I don't think all the time, but a lot of the time that it's just. They don't care. I know my kids don't necessarily. They're not as interested about my life as you are.
I mean, they lived it with you.
No, they didn't live my life. They lived the period that they've been here. I had a life before they were born. That's a long life.
That's actually right. But it reflects on the person you are even today. I can see who you were back then. We were just talking to your mentor. We were just talking about how, it was a different perspective, how he thought that you kind of had a little, you were a little withdrawn when you were younger. But I don't see that. I see you had to be. Now, you were probably very inquisitive. I can see that.
Yes.
I can see not only were you inquisitive, but you followed directions. And so a lot of people would probably look at that like as a withdrawn, maybe mode or mentality, because you would say, okay, well, that's how you want it. That's the directions. I'm going to follow those two.
As you say that, I'll tell you where my mind was. And I wouldn't have thought about it if you hadn't said that. It struck me that following directions, as you call it, and I think it's just kind of, I thought of it more as rules. There's rules I learned very early on, mm-hmm. and I noted not just my interaction with my parents and the people around, but other people reacting to other people. I noted that mm-hmm. these social etiquette rules, if they're followed, you can have a smooth transition into adolescence, adulthood.
So you knew that as a kid?
I don't know if I knew it. I recognized, I felt it. I felt that there was a conformity that I would do on the rules side,
right.
But there was a non-conformity mm-hmm. in what everybody else was doing. As long as I followed the rules, I felt I could vary in my choices. Does that make sense?
That makes a lot of sense. Of course it makes a lot of sense.
And these are all revelations that are popping up right now.
Well, it makes a lot of sense to me because I didn't follow the rules. And now a lot of my choices aren't choices anymore. A lot of the things that I want to do in life or that I wanted to do in life, me not following the rules hammered that for me. And I can't get that
That's
back.
what I want to explore today. Because you and I talked a few weeks ago.
Yeah.
And we were talking about our buddies growing up.
Yes.
And it just cracked me up that you have these nicknames for all your buddies. Yeah. I didn't have nicknames until I became somewhat of a basketball player, and I nicknamed players on my team. But growing up, we were just, we just had these names. But the cultural difference and the irony of my association with Sir Benjamin Bennett and myself is that we grew up really just 5-10 miles apart.
Right.
But in the 50s and 60s, before Sir Benjamin was around, that distance in terms of what the culture was on the other side of Western.
Countries away.
Oh, it might as well have been, east
Iraq.
coast of Africa or something. It was not the Inglewood
Right.
that I lived on this side of.
Right.
Now, there's all kinds of reasons for that, and we're not going to get into that stuff. That's not what I'm talking about. What I'm talking about is, here's two people that grew up in the same general area, 5-10 miles apart.
Yeah.
But it was worlds apart in terms of culture.
Definitely.
Okay. So the friends that I had, without the nicknames,
Right.
dozens of them, I knew all their fathers. And they were like almost, in fact, you met my mentor, Bill Nicholson.
Yeah.
And his dad was named Irvin. He was, Bill is W.I. Nicholson the second, and this was the first, William Irvin. We call him Irvin. I call him Mr. Nicholson.
Right. Of course.
But he was like a second father to me.
Right.
And across the street, Leo Clark, and his dad was George. And then the Casements, their dad was Ted.
Right.
I knew them, and I knew all of my friends'
Right.
dads. They were all like part of my culture, and they treated me
Right.
something special.
Right.
And so I just casually said, well, how many, did you know the parents, the fathers of your friends? And you said,
No. My friends, our fathers are the streets.
none of your friends that you grew up with, your tight-knit group, had fathers in their lives.
When my family, because my mom moved us from LA from an early age, couldn't keep me away from it, but definitely tried to do her best to bring us from that mentality because of the situation, the dad situation, I guess. I'm going to latch on to something. I'm going to admire something. So she wanted to give me a better shot, bless her heart. Didn't quite work out.
When you say the dad situation, did she actually articulate that to you, or was that something you...
I'm sure I kind of put it together
Okay,
myself
okay,
because, my dad was always, Papa was a Rolling Stone. Yeah.
I've heard that.
Papa was a Rolling Stone, and even to this day, I take care of my dad now, but I didn't have him. So when we moved from there on 45th and Broadway, and then we came here, then it was a difference. Now, from that point, then I went over to my aunt's house over there, 109th, 110th. But it wasn't, again, I took those influences early. Early, I loved that life. I feel that life, and I didn't have anything in place to show any difference or to either guide me out of that darkness. And so I had to kind of go for what I knew when I knew it.
That is, there's something profound about that you would have that situation with no fathers when I had multiple fathers in my life.
Right.
That has got to have an influence. And that is something that's not really spoken about, is it?
Well, no, not at all. Not too much. The situation is really sensitive. A lot of people don't want to bring up that old, in the ghetto, we're kind of mean to each other. So you ain't got no daddy? No, you ain't got no daddy either,
Yeah,
But it was almost it's so sensitive because of course, we loved our dads. I remember watching my dad get on an airplane and leave, and I didn't see him until maybe 3 years before my mom died.
Wow.
And I was a kid, and I said, you just can't stay? And he said, son, I can't. I'm crying, and I just look up to him. He said, hey, be strong. I said, okay. And I cried, and I cried, and I cried, and he's out of there, And from that point, I was like, well, what now?
So as your youth evolved without a father profoundly in your life, and then you already in previous episodes have talked about your gang affiliations, do you think that would have been any different with a father in your life?
Yeah, maybe because the first thing I latched onto was my brother. My brother was the coolest thing since cold water, man. I'm telling you, he was really incredible to me. I used to hear him coming from miles away with his music, right? And so I just say, do, and I go, oh, there's the boom, and I'd start dancing. I'd go run, like, hey, here he comes. He'd pull up, the look on his face, the music, you hear car, zoom, zoom, he's pulling in. It's a low car. And I just felt that's cool, man. The girls love that.
Did he have gang affiliations?
Oh, he's a gang member. Yeah, that's one of the biggest. That's what I looked up to.
So instead of a father, you looked up to an older brother that had gang affiliation and was cool.
Yeah, and thought, well, yeah. And let me tell you the problem. Yeah, there's a lot of people that that I'm glad that they crossed my path in that world. Because when they crossed my path, I did everything I could to show them this is not what you want. Oh, this is because my biggest thing. This is what you know what's required of you to do this, right? And going on through the years, there's a lot of people that kind of they seen the world and they was like, you know what? I think I'll back away from that. My brother, I don't believe that he wanted me to gangbang, but he sure didn't show me a different view of him. And I'm not saying, oh well, I'm not neglect. I'm not saying poor sir. But what I'm saying is that's what I loved. I loved him and I loved what he was doing and I wanted to be just like him. And I ended up being a little worse than
So
him.
you guys were pretty well off though, right? You were upper middle class.
No, we ate from the dumpsters.
Okay. Right. So that poverty
Right.
that you grew up in, how much of that do you attribute to the lack of fathers in your group, your growing up?
A broken home. You know, there's a reason why dad's gone. It's probably because mom was a little, And so
Wait a minute, you're blaming it on the moms?
I'm blaming it on everybody. The home was broken. The minds were broken.
But a single mother raising, and especially in the 80s or and early 90s and stuff, that had to be a struggle financially, right?
Mom tried. She definitely worked. She worked, I believe, 20-something years for the county. And we were okay. We were definitely impoverished. I remember, if I can think back now. I had to eat from the dumpster.
Okay.
Attention all businesses in the Antelope Valley. The Chamber of Commerce of the Greater Antelope Valley would like to offer you an incredible free business listing in the avtoday.com's business and information directory. This website has been active and growing since 2004, and our members love it. So if you own a business and you're looking for a bit of free exposure, contact us at info@av-today.com and start marketing your business today.
Eat from the dumpster.
Okay, and here's the point I want to make. I'm going to change a little bit, but Sir Benjamin, when I first met him, one of his goals was to have an impact on poverty.
Eliminate.
Okay, I was going to kind of tone it down,
No,
that's what he said. Eliminate it.
Heavy hair.
Now that is such a goal. It's unbelievable.
Yeah.
But then he says he himself wants to be a multi-billionaire, not a millionaire. No, not for Sir Benjamin Bennett. Not enough. Billionaire. So here's a hypothetical I want to say to you. Let's say that you become the billionaire, multi-billionaire that you dream of being. Mm-hmm. And let's say you go into an impoverished area like you grew up in, or multiple areas of that, and you give people...
A dad.
No. I'm just saying billions of dollars. You spread it out. If you give every family you can see $500,000, will that cure poverty?
Not at all. Not at all. Jim Rohn said, if somebody handed you $1 million, best you become a millionaire quickly so you get to keep the money. Unless it'd be all back in the same pockets. If I gave a lot of these families $500,000, their other parent would die. Now, and I'm not saying in every case, but what I'm saying is in a lot of the cases, a lot of the parents have drug problems. So if I'm going to give you that type of money,
you get a higher level of drugs, right?
Right. How much money do you think could go to the kids? There's a problem in that type of world. It's not just because the dad is gone. It's because of the lack of leadership. It's the lack of mentality building. The kid sits there and he's sitting there staring off blankly into space. The mom, pap, what are you doing? Go do something. Pulled him out of his imagination. Pulled him out of the only thing that's going to take him out of the ghetto is his imagination. My idle hands are time for the devil. No, what TV is time for the devil? You know what it's teaching me? Do you know what these music videos are saying? And I listen to you sitting there so entertained by nothing, by such trash. It turned me into something that reflects that world. And again, I'm not going to stone that world because there's a lot of people that became successful in that world. Professional rappers. This is kind of the only that I can point out. Professional rappers, athletes, which a lot of them after the lights go out go broke. There's a lot. But then there's people, judges, police officers, entrepreneurs that just had a different mindset than the rest of them. Oh yeah, me. Authors and motivational speakers that had a different mindset than the rest of the ghetto, and for some reason came out of that world.
Now, I had no idea what your response was going to be. Okay, like I said, we don't rehearse this,
Right?
but I thought we could get to this point, and of course, you never fail. You said something I just heard a few minutes ago. You said one of the problems that still would exist there is lack of mental ability. Those are the words you used.
Yeah.
Lack of mental ability.
Yeah.
And if you just heard him speak, what we're going to try to do in this podcast is going to take Sir Benjamin's goals, eliminating poverty. I mean, that almost sounds preposterous. When I first heard it, though, I didn't think preposterous. I thought to myself, here's a man that thinks really big.
Like those damn Wright brothers.
Yeah. Fly? Are you kidding me? You can't fly like
Look at
that.
Orville and Wilbur.
But there they are. They flew for 41 seconds.
Yep. And then some people said, oh, they only got up there for 41 seconds. The rest of them said they was up there for 41 seconds.
Yeah.
Bob Proctor really pointed that out.
So here is the solution as I see it, or the road to it that Sir Benjamin has laid out for all of us. Instead of giving these billions of dollars that he's going to earn and just go out to the ghettos and just hand out packages of money, he knows, and I know, that is not going to solve poverty.
No.
Poverty is not money, not the lack of money. It's a lack of mental fortitude.
It's a mental sickness.
and,
Poverty
and,
is.
and I could sit here all day long and tell you where I've been and how I've done it and stuff. But see, I grew up on the other side of Western. That was no big deal. I had mommy and daddy.
Right.
And I had another daddy across the street and
Right.
another daddy next door to me.
Right. What a blessing.
Of
And
course
look at
it's
you
a-
today. Look at the person that you turned into
Yes.
with the guidance that you had.
Start thinking promotion here now. Will you? What's gonna get us to the populace? It's the two of us together.
Yes, sir.
Have a bond.
Yes, sir.
And see, I couldn't do this without him being here telling his story, because look where he's got. And he, by recognizing me, that lack of mental ability that you see in young people, you can get through to them.
Oh, yeah.
I will help you get through to them, because they're going to see not just how you got, because there's a distance from where you started off to where you are now.
Yeah.
But there's another span from where you are and where I am.
Sure.
And you have, I'm guessing the way I add up the figures, 37 years to get where I'm at. Okay.
Right.
So if we can get across to young people, and a podcast can get across to people, if this goes viral, if this goes,
If hope and can't don't work here.
okay,
hoping
when
there
this
you go.
gets to all these people, then that is going to be one of the early keys to the solution of what his great aspiration is. Because when you see what this man has done, where he came from, it's a doable thing. It's not like magic. It's not like some great bunch of circumstances happen, right?
Sure, it's doable.
Nobody came and gave you that package of
you
money
know,
or anything.
it's I got something better than money.
Of course.
I got a better outlook, because if I would have had the money, I'd have spent it and
Where'd
looked around
you
like
get
how
it
it
from?
happened.
Where did you get that outlook? Everybody around you didn't. All your buddies that you kind of left.
Experiment. No. Yeah, right. I
Right.
left everybody back
Okay.
there. Yeah.
Then you're going to have to share with our listeners and viewers.
I experimented. I knew, well, first, being poor, coming up in a poor environment, I developed a poor mentality. I didn't understand nothing about that then. I was just living life.
You didn't understand anything.
Nothing. Not mostly anything. There you go. I didn't understand anything about what's going on now.
See, because one thing he's learned is articulation. And when he's tripped
Yes.
up there, I had to make sure that he
Yeah.
stays on that good track.
That's why you find a good mentor. So you stay on the good track. So you're being held accountable.
Remember
by
I
great
asked you to
people.
pronounce a few words when we first met?
Yes, sir. What were they?
How do you say ask?
Yeah, and it was usually the axe.
Right, with an X.
Ask
And
them.
when you go to the bathroom,
Bathroom.
yeah,
But it was bathroom. I was pretty good. I think I
You
hit
were-
everyone.
Yeah,
There was one I didn't hit out the park.
but that
And I
but
forgot what it
that
was.
said, okay,
Yeah,
he
definitely.
understands that there's a persona that successful people all have. It's not just how you speak, it's how you look, how you present yourself. But when all those things are in sync, then you get instant credibility.
They don't get in.
Not instant, but you get credibility.
Instant, Dave. You know, doing that to put you in a frequency. Life is a frequency, man. We have to, whatever we're doing, wherever we're living at the moment, it's the frequency that we're on. And so when I was in that world, my frequency was so negative. I adapted to the negative pattern of life. It's there. It's definitely there. But then again, now that I'm around you, the frequency, if I'm around you, your frequency is going to transfer to me because positive outweighs negative every
it
time.
does, it does.
And so since I've been here and doing what we have been doing, creating this awesome and incredible, my
Are you
vibrations
putting
so
on this
high.
enthusiasm or just because there's a camera
Can
there?
you fake that?
No. That's my point. That's
I
my
wish
point.
I had that much skill, man.
You think I'm putting this on? You think,
No, you
am I
can't
like this?
fake that.
When that camera goes off, do I change to?
This is Dave. This is Dave,
This
and
is who
this
you
is
get?
Sir.